Good morning, afternoon, or evening, my dear language learning master, and welcome to a new episode of the Language Input Podcast, number 11 today, in which, this is a podcast in which I'll address the most common questions and misconceptions when it comes to the language learning process, all right? As usual, before getting started with today's topic, I want to encourage you to, leave your comments down below if you're listening to this on YouTube or a platform in which you can leave messages with, your opinion on this specific topic or any question you may have when it comes to the language learning process, because I'll be more than happy to help you out, and you'll be giving me ideas for future episodes as well, So yeah, that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. And with that being said, let's get into today's episode. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk about, the use of dictionaries or looking up words when you're, reading a book or watching a series or whatever it is that you're watching or you're reading. Because I get asked this question a lot. Like, should I use a dictionary? Should I stop the series whenever there's something I don't understand? Should I look up words, that I didn't understand during the story? Or, you know what I mean, right? And, my short answer is no. But, yeah, let me explain why, and let me put that into context. Because, it's not like an absolute no, that you don't have to look up any single word. I mean, you can. I'm gonna talk about it in a moment, but you can do it to a certain extent without compromising the experience. To put it into simple words, all right. So yeah, let me explain what I mean here. Well, once again, I believe the need to consciously control everything we're listening to or everything we're reading makes us want to, stop and take a dictionary and, look up every single word that we didn't understand, because we want to have consciously control over the situation, right? As adults, that's what we do. But, whenever I'm talking about comprehensible input being the key to the entire process, all right, which is true, I'm always saying that if you understand what you're listening to, or if you understand what you're reading, you're learning the language, right? But when I'm saying that, it doesn't mean that you need to understand every single word, all right? You just need to understand the message, what's going on. It's okay if you don't understand a certain preposition and things like that, okay? So, yeah, whenever I talk about comprehensible input, I mean that you understand the message, that you understand what's going on. The general idea of the story or the book or whatever it is. You know what I mean, right? So in that regard, and getting back to today's topic, like I said, I get asked a lot, and I see it in a lot of people that they're reading a book or they're watching a series, and they stop many times just in order to understand. I mean, in order to look up a specific word that they didn't understand, And actually, I've seen like more and more services that offer, not really services or websites that think about, that offer the possibility of, you're watching a specific series or a video, and they offer the possibility to pause the video and look up specific words. And the idea behind it is not that bad, but again, we're talking, as usual, we're talking about conscious knowledge there. We're talking about consciously wanting to control things, right? And that's why I said at the beginning that I do not recommend you do that, regularly when you're reading a book or watching a video. To give you an example, in my own personal case, whenever I'm reading a book in a foreign language, I think throughout, an entire book, I may look up 2-3 words total. Okay? And that's only if I feel like that that specific word is key or is super important to when it comes to understanding what's happening in the story, what's going on. Okay. And so only in that specific situation I would go ahead and look up those words. If I don't understand them and I believe they're crucial to understand the story, to understand what's going on, to follow along. All right, hope it makes sense. Because if you're stopping every couple of minutes to look up a new word, first of all, it's gonna sort of break the flow of the activity, and it's gonna make it less appealing or less interesting, because the ideal scenario is that in which you're reading a book or watching a video and you're so immersed in the story that you to a certain extent you even forget that you're listening to a foreign language, right? And if you're looking at words every couple of minutes, that's going to break the flow and you're not going to enjoy it that much. I mean, at least that's my personal experience, right? So like I said, whenever I'm reading a book or watching a video, I mean, with videos, I'm trying to think about it. I don't know if I've ever done it, like to stop a video just to look up a word. I don't think so. But when it comes to books, to reading, like I said, 2-3 words total in an entire book, and only if I think that specific word or chunk or sentence is, paramount or is crucial to understanding what's going on. And of course, I didn't understand it the first time around, Yeah, exactly. So that's my opinion on this topic, because once again, trying to stop and look up words every couple of minutes, like I said, is another one of our tries to consciously control the situation, to consciously understand everything that's going on, like what a specific preposition or, whatever the type of word is means, etc. So, in short, don't do it, regularly every couple of minutes, like I said. I mean, I'm just talking about my opinion here as usual, and I love languages. I spend several hours every day learning new languages, learning about how to learn languages in a better way, etc. So I know a lot about the subject, but of course, this is my recommendation, but obviously you can go ahead and do whatever you feel most comfortable with. Okay. So, I'm in any case, I want to sort of tell you what to do and what not to do. This is just my suggestion, my recommendation. All right. You can obviously, agree with me or disagree with me. That's totally fine. Okay. As usual, as long as we're respectful, I'm more than open to new ideas, to criticism, and to to debating things. That's actually part of the process, and I think it's helpful for every part involved. Okay. But my recommendation, I'm talking about my example, about what I do. I do not look up words except for 2-3 words in an entire book, like I said, if I have the feeling they're super important to understanding what's going on, to understanding the story, the message, the content, which is the most important thing, as usual. Yeah, and again, also, like my final thoughts on this, whenever we're looking up words when we're reading a book or watching a video, because it's again a conscious try, or conscious our conscious try to consciously control the situation. If we're looking up words every couple of minutes, we're actually sort of trying to learn new words by connecting them to their meaning in our native language. Okay, hope it makes sense. And that to me is not the ideal situation or the ideal scenario in order to learn a language, because I've talked about this many times before. But to give you a simple example, with English and Spanish, the idea of language learning is not to understand, or is not to learn that the sound apple. Excuse me. I mean, the idea is not to learn that the sound manzana is the Spanish equivalent of the word apple, but to link the sound apple, to link the sound manzana with the mental image of an apple in our mind. And that works for isolated words like these guys, sentences, and the language as a whole. Okay, I just, I'm talking about the example of an apple just because it's a really simple one, but just to make the point. Okay, so whenever we're looking up words, in a dictionary or whatever it is, again, it's a conscious attempt to control the situation, to learn new words by linking them to our native language. And that to me is not the ideal scenario, all right? Because later on down the road, whenever you want to express a specific idea, you're going to refer back to your native language. And that's not ideal. The idea is to use the words in your target language as they come up to your mind, through the mental image of that specific situation you want to talk about. I hope it makes sense. It's a bit hard to put it into words, but like I said with the example of an apple, that's the general idea behind it. All right. So instead of looking up words in the dictionary, I think best practice is to try to understand that specific word or sentence we didn't understand from the context of a story, okay, or from images, from gestures if we're talking about classes, etc. Right? From tools or ideas that help you learn new words, new sentences, or to get better in that specific language, while associating and linking those new ideas, new words, with the mental image or the mental representation of that idea, of that general idea, like universal idea, let's put it that way, not a specific sentence in a specific language. Okay, I hope it makes sense. Please let me know in the comment section below if I explain myself correctly, all right, because it's a bit of a difficult idea to grasp, right? But yeah, that's it for today. And as usual, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was useful. And yeah, don't hesitate to leave your comments down below. Let me know what your opinion is on this topic. Whether you agree with me, whether you don't, that's totally fine. Like I'm always saying. And yeah, so I'll see you in the next episode, number 12. And hope you have a good day, my dear language learning master, wherever you might be. And yeah, that's it. Bye bye.